Hey, I just want to
Hey,
be honest here. After a couple of false starts by me, we're here. We
we did
did
it. We did it.
it. Awesome. So I am super excited to have Rocky on today. So I've known Rocky for probably what, 10 years, 11
More
years?
than that.
Maybe. Yeah.
Closer
Well,
to
yeah.
15 now.
Yeah, maybe more than that. We have been friends for a while. I always
Mhm.
say like you're one of my first like adult friendships, right? Where you're
Oh,
like, yeah. So I am excited to talk to you about your Titans, what you're thinking, how you're feeling, all the things. Um,
okay.
but first, I would like to give your shout out and kudos because she is soon to be Dr. Rocky. So I just wanted to take a second and, give you your kudos for the world to
Thanks.
see.
I'm
So
very close. Yes,
yeah,
very
you're
close.
you'll be fine. So tell me a little bit about you, anything you want to share with us, and a little bit about your fandom, like what makes you a Titans fan.
Okay, so we've been friends for a long time. We met in the doctoral program. I am just now finishing because
You're doing
I
great.
started. You kept going, and I'm like, I'll take a minute. But I went back, and I'm finishing now. So I grew up in Austin, and I'm a huge Longhorns fan. Grew up Cowboys and Oilers fan with my dad. And back then, it was okay to cheer for both. You were just had Texas pride.
Yep.
Now you must choose one, right? You must choose the Texans or the Cowboys, or you must choose the Longhorns or the Aggies. So now, of course, I went to Texas. I'm diehard Longhorn, and so. But when the Oilers moved to Nashville, I followed them. I enjoyed it, and I still. I know the Texans came along later, and I still cheer for them, of course, except 2 times a year, right? But no, I'm a big Titans fan, and so when they moved to Nashville in '97, I was excited about it. I loved, the Air McNair and the Eddie George, and
Mm,
it was exciting. Within a few years, they were in a Super Bowl, and that was an exciting game. Didn't go our way, but so I just say following, and then they had some good years, unfortunately, with Jeff Fisher, but that's okay.
oh God, let's not
That's
even.
okay. But
You
just when I was
destroyed our
getting a little,
guy.
just when I was getting a little, put off by the Titans because it
Yeah.
was falling down, then they of course started drafted. They drafted Vince Young,
Hmm.
2006. But then there were a lot of Longhorns going into the Titans program. You had Michael Griffin and Bo Scaife, and just all these great Longhorns were playing with the Titans
Yeah.
over the years, and so that was exciting. So it kept me following and engaged with the Titans. And then one of my favorite college quarterbacks ever, Marcus Mariota, from Oregon, originally Hawaii, right? He was drafted to the Titans. So that kept me excited still. And so we've been on this roller coaster with the Titans. And here I am in Austin, Texas. And everyone asks about, well, how do you like the Titans and you're in Austin? I'm like, well, I'm from Texas. So, it's
It
okay
makes sense.
to, and of course, there's still always controversy with the colors and the Oilers and the oil derrick and all the fun things that I like to wear my Titans or Tennessee Oilers stuff just to really make people
Really piss
mad.
people off. Yeah. That's the thing about fandom is everyone's like, but why? And you're just like, it just is.
Like
Like,
you and the Steelers, right?
yeah,
Like I
it
always
just
wonder how do
is.
you get to the Steelers. My aunt Vicky, she's here in Austin too. She loves the Steelers. That's her team.
So my story happens because of color. So
Right.
I remember just being a kid and there was a blue team against a yellow team, and I thought the yellow team looked prettier. And the yellow team was the Steelers and the blue team was the Cowboys.
Oh
So, and
no.
so it just kind of worked out in my favor. And then funny story, my actual favorite Steeler that taught me about football, and he doesn't know this, which is kind of funny because he's a lifetime Longhorn, is Casey Hampton. So
Yep.
Casey Hampton taught me what a nose tackle was, why, because at the time I was like, he's too big to play football. Like that was you know what I mean? So he taught me so many things just by his size. And then he played for my team. I was able to watch him at UT, and I remember people were raved about how amazing he was.
Oh, one of the best. Longhorn legend.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so he basically he made me more interested in that organization, and he went to the yellow team, and obviously I was older by then, but it just stuck with me. And then I love the organization. I love what they're doing. And it's like, why not be a Steelers fan? I always say it's like the safe bet. It's
Yeah,
like,
they win more than they don't.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's like I always say too, it's my stable organization. Because
Mhm.
with even with UT sometimes we've had our years where we're like, okay, great. And now we're not there right now.
Now
So
things are good.
yeah, so it's like my Steelers are just like my consistent stable friend that I know is
You
going
have some hope there every year.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, the Horns, I have hope. Listen, let's save that for another day. But
Well, you know what's funny is the Titans and the Longhorns can't be good at the same time. Like, so, the early 2000s when Texas was on the way back, the Titans had a moment and then didn't win anything for a while. And then
Interesting.
that's how they got Vince Young, because they were at the top of the draft. And so then later, throughout the 2000s, Texas is 10 wins every year.
Yeah.
And then they fall off. And then the Titans are good for the last, 4, 5, 6 years ago, AFC Championship game, like almost to a Super Bowl. And then now they're falling off again. Haven't won a playoff game in 4 years or something since 2021, 2020 was the last time they won a playoff game. So
that's
crazy. And the Longhorns are coming back. So I guess if you have to have one, I don't know. I never get both.
Listen, at least you have one, because I've talked to some people that have zero. They're like, teams.
Yeah.
I won't mention their fandom, but you can think of some teams that are, haven't been good for probably 10, 15 years, and neither have their college programs. So it's like,
well, it's good. One of my best friends, her team is the Lions, and they are rising now and coming on strong when the Longhorns are too. So that's good. Like to have all the excitement.
That's super fun.
The falls are a roller coaster.
Yeah, fandom, here we are. Like, we're loyal, we're here, but Jesus, just figure it out, please, for us.
Definitely.
So tell me a little bit about the Titans, how they did in free agency, what your thoughts are about free agency, and how you're feeling, just like being a fan, seeing what's going on. Like, how are you feeling? And then I know that you all got a new head coach this offseason. So I would, if you want to throw that in there now, I would love to know like your thoughts about him. And
we'll get to the coach in a minute. The one thing I want to say about the coach, we talk about free agency and we'll talk about the draft too, but he's, an offensive minded coach, and we'll talk in a minute, but I looked at the numbers comparing, he's coming from the Bengals. He was the OC there. This is his first head coaching job. So that worries me, but we'll get there.
Okay.
So for free agency, I like that they brought in some corners. We would get beat up and down the field with the passing game. L'Jarius Sneed from Kansas City. This is somebody who has 2 Super Bowls with Kansas City. So he knows how to win. He knows what it takes to be in an organization that is playing for championships. So I like that. Awuzie coming in, also from the Bengals, familiar with our coach there. And then I'm excited about actually having someone to throw to, which I've been, ever since Brown left, I've been pretty like, where are our receivers? And Tannehill, as much as he tried and as much as I feel like what Tannehill gave, he took away. We always have good options, people to throw to, but bringing in DeAndre Hopkins, huge. Really excited about that. And of course, the running back from the Dallas Cowboys. I'm also a big Cowboys fan. So I know what Tony Pollard can do. He can catch, he can run. He's an all-purpose back. The most important thing about Tony Pollard is he stays healthy, and he played in every game, which is huge, right?
That's awesome. I didn't know that about him.
Yeah, he played in all 17 games for Dallas last year throughout the regular season. He, like I said, he can run the ball, he can catch the ball. Just a really, durable athlete, and they didn't use him. He was like second or third a lot of times running back on the depth chart, but that's okay because he had a role and he filled it and he stayed healthy. And that's number one. Can you come to work? That's number one.
Number one. And can you actually put in work, because we don't need you on the sidelines. We need you.
So I'm excited about all of that. And then also keeping our kicker, re-signing the kicker, Nick Bolt is a big deal, because when you're 29 of 30 on field goals, we need you back.
Yeah. So, that's a good nugget.
Yeah, especially when we struggled sometimes getting it in the end zone. We'll take those 3 points. So
listen, the Titans are the reason why the Steelers made the Super Bowl, made the playoffs this year.
Yes.
So they will always have a special place in my heart. And I also love Derrick Henry. There's just something about him that I just, so I can't talk bad about the Titans. You help my team. Listen.
You're welcome. We help everybody else get to the playoffs. No, Derrick Henry was amazing, and he was one of those running backs, and he still is one of those running backs that you just feed him, and
Yeah.
then he'll break one loose, he'll get going. But he's not a running back that the first half of his numbers aren't always stellar. It's that third quarter, fourth quarter, and just
Yeah.
let him get in a rhythm and start and feed him, and then he will break away. He will get the key touchdown, the first down. So that's what I really liked about Derrick Henry. Now we're going to see who fills that role, especially with a young quarterback. And we'll get there in a minute too. We have a young quarterback. So hopefully somebody like Tony Pollard, who's been in the trenches and experienced, can help with that. And then, of course, bringing an experienced wide receiver like DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, I like Hopkins. So tell me about the draft. I know you got a Longhorn that is
I was shocked.
Yeah, like I actually was too. I mean, I think perfect position, perfect everything. I think he's a perfect fit for what you all need. I think everybody was kind of shocked he still went that high, but that just shows like big bodies, people that have that high. He has a high ceiling. But anyways, what do you think about how do you think you guys did in the draft?
Okay, so our first pick, again, just like we've been saying for years, Tannehill needed somebody to throw to. He needed somebody to protect him. He took one of the worst sack allowing teams in the NFL almost every year. Last year, we gave up like 64 sacks, which is about twice as high as the top half of the NFL. Top half of the NFL is in the 30s and under. Titans gave up 64 sacks, which when you have somebody like Tannehill who needs to be in the pocket, he's fast and he's an athlete, but he doesn't need to be running crazy all the time because he's injured all the time, high ankle sprain all the time. And then he's had some pretty unfortunate injuries. So when you have somebody, they brought in somebody who can protect, Alabama, they have J.C. Latham from Alabama, 7th overall pick. So I like that, building the line, giving him people to throw to, defending the pass. Like I think they're filling needs, which is nice. I was also, again, we'll talk about our new head coach being an offensive mind when 5 of our 7 picks were defense. That was interesting.
That's interesting.
I don't know if that's a statement against our last coach who was a defensive mind. I don't know. I'll think about that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's so T'Vondre Sweat.
Let's talk about Big Sweat.
All right, T Sweat. So as Longhorn fans, right, we're in the stands. We've seen T Sweat for 5 years. We mentioned a few minutes ago about Tony Pollard playing every game last year, 2023. T'Vondre Sweat played every game of his freshman year, every game of his sophomore year, every game of his junior year, senior year, and super senior year. Want to talk about durability and as much as he's getting, hate about his weight, being overweight or whatever, he has been able to stay healthy and durable. And a lot of thanks to that in the last few years to Torrey Becton, the strength and conditioning coach who now oversees all of player development at Texas under Sarkisian. He's a genius when it comes to building their bodies for their positions to stay long-term. Right. So he's taken advantage of that. And he's somebody that, as what he's shown is he will be there every Sunday. He will be healthy. He can show up. Of course, he had a breakout season. He's also somebody that is not scared of development, not scared to, put in the work. He had Bo Davis, who's now at LSU, as his D-line coach for the last few years. So he's learned it. He's developed. He's improved. He's improved his ability to pass, pressure the passer. And he's just a mountain to deal with. And
he's a football player. He's a defensive tackle. Like I always tell people, like, some sports you're just like, he just does his job. And it's like, I'm not going to say it's like pretty fancy or whatever. His job isn't pretty and fancy. His job is to at least consume 2 blockers at least. And he does that. And that, thank you.
They have to account for him. Offenses have to account for where is he going to be. He was defensive player of the year in the Big 12. He won the Outland Trophy for the best interior lineman in the nation. He was right next to Byron Murphy, who was also drafted in the first round. Byron Murphy went. So those two were just a team. And so I look forward to seeing who he's going to be paired up with on the Titans line. That'll be exciting. And he's coming in as one of the biggest guys. I think he's coming in as the biggest DL in the NFL already. at 366. So I'm sure he would like to be. He said in one of the interviews with the Titans, 350, 355 maybe, but yeah, he's gonna have to get in with that staff and see where they think he would fit. But he's a big boy, and
Yeah.
make him
He's
sweat.
a large human. Yeah, he's a large human. I mean, but you
Yeah.
know what? Again, like it's his job, you know?
Mhm.
So I'm excited that he's there. I'm excited that he's there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that sweat jersey. I'm sure they're gonna have fun with his name, like we've had fun at Texas, make him sweat. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun. And so this year, Texas Longhorns they play at Vanderbilt,
I was
and
gonna ask you if you were gonna go.
yes. Well, oh,
Okay.
yes. So especially I'll be at that game and then especially because I love Nashville. But
Yeah.
I when the NFL schedule is released any day now, they'll start releasing bits and pieces of the schedule. Please
It
Titans
would
have
be
a
perfect.
home game on that Sunday. Please. That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Even
So
if it's on like a Thursday.
anytime over that long
Yeah,
weekend. That
yeah,
would be
yeah.
great to see the
Would
Titans
you
play. And
stay if it was Texas played Saturday and then they played the next Thursday? Like, would you stay for that long? Or is that too long?
that's probably too long. I could
Okay.
always go back to another game. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's
saying if
true.
you can make a long weekend of it, I'll be there.
Yeah.
But I'll go to another game another time.
Yeah.
The best game ever when not this past time the Titans were in the London game, but the one before, which was like 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago,
Okay.
we went to that game and that was amazing. So it's just such an celebration of football at
I
those
know.
events. And everybody just wears every jersey and every team and every player. And it is so fun. So that was
Yeah,
pretty cool to get to see the Titans there at that.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So yes, I'm excited about Devondre Sweat. The rest of I guess they've addressed some needs they figure they need on defense, but I haven't dived into all the draft picks. But those two I was really excited about.
Yeah. Well, and let's be honest, like usually the first 3 rounds are kind of the guys that are gonna come in and make the immediate impact anyway.
Right.
And then the other guys are kind of like, if they make the team phenomenal, they always don't. So it's kind of like, I mean, listen, I will be honest though, like as a Steelers fan, I feel like usually the third day of the draft is like where we get the guys that you won't know until you know them. And you're like, who? From where? Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's pretty good, like, and then
The
seventh or
gems.
sixth, seventh round, we get, like at the very end, I'm like, oh, we have another Longhorn. And I think he's going to be another one of those players that it's like, no one's going to know he's there. No one's going to, quite frankly, care that he's there until they care that he's there. It's like,
Well, the Steelers, you guys got Ryan Watts, right?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Huge.
Like,
That is a lunch pail, bring
yeah,
your hard hat to work guy. He is the most perfect fit out of that Texas picked up Ryan Watts. He is the perfect fit for the Steelers. He is a hard hitting.
yeah,
He's had some injury issues, but hopefully he's had time to rest. But his speed, his agility, his power, his strength, he measures off the charts. But his work ethic,
yeah,
he's
that's
going to fit in. Tomlin is going to love him
and that's
at the
it. And that's what,
Steelers.
yeah. And I told people, I'm like, you don't know Ryan Watts. You're not going to know Ryan Watts. And quite frankly, you shouldn't know him yet. But he's
Yeah.
going to make you know who he is. And that's just what we do in 5, 6, and 7 rounds. It's just like that's the Steeler
Yeah.
way is like, okay, these are sexy picks. Now let's get to the real picks.
Yeah. Let's get the meat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you
Ryan Watts is perfect for the Steelers.
Yeah, I'm excited. And like I told you this when we texted him, like I like any Longhorns to the Steelers. Like I don't think I've ever been disappointed from a Longhorn to the Steelers. I think each time I'm like, yes, yes. So they just, I don't know. There's something about it where it just works.
And there's a new brand of toughness right now coming out of
Oh yeah,
the Longhorns. So that's a good and a solid culture, good guys.
yeah.
Stay out of trouble, go to work. That's going to be Ryan Watts. I'm excited that y'all got them.
Can I
Y'all
just
got
say,
him.
like when we went to the spring game, I remember sitting there at one point and I thought, this just looks right. Like it just looked, you know what I mean? Like I don't know how to explain it any more than just sitting there and being like, this looks good. Like we had our paper, we're like flipping through and I'm like,
I sure did print that roster.
yeah. And I'm like, we're like like looking at the guys and it's like everybody that we're kind of seeing, we're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Saw that check. It's like, I don't know. It's just amazing to see that, and just to see. I'm excited to see what they do this year. I have trust issues with coaching, just because, like, for obvious reasons, I have trust issues. But I'm hoping
Yeah.
this year is the year where I can say, you know what? Okay, like, I want them to make me feel like my Steelers do. Just they'll figure it out. Well, cool. So tell me about your biggest concern heading into the season.
Okay, I mean, new head coach, still a very young quarterback. So we talked a minute ago, we are kind of teasing it. Brian Callahan, who is just a few years ago, it feels like he's never been a head coach before. I think that's massive. Like, of course, you got to start somewhere. He's young. He's only 39 years old.
Oh, okay.
But I'm always weary of a head coach who hasn't had head coaching experience, and he has only a few years now as an offensive coordinator. So that's a big jump to be the one running the show.
Yeah.
So but he has had experience in the NFL as a quarterbacks coach, as an offensive coordinator, as an analyst, and earlier than that. So he's an offensive mind. And oh man, would I love some offense in this on this team. I know Vrabel could dial up some defense, but the offense was always sputtering. They just couldn't get it going. And so I went to look at, of course, well, what did he do when he was with the Bengals? I want to know. So I looked, and they said they averaged about a little 5,600 yards a season the last few years. But they had Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, and Jamar Chase, right, with the Bengals.
Listen,
the
we play
Titans
them twice.
averaged about the same. The Titans averaged 5,531. So about not even 100 yards difference between the two.
Great. That's not
so
great.
It's not like the Bengals had this is just going by yards. So I'm like, okay, well, and of course I'm like, well, it's not the yards because they're about the same. So then I looked at turnovers because the Titans have lots of turnovers. They're about the same. Third down conversions, like, well, maybe they're just moving the ball and keeping the ball on the field. Third down conversions, we're about the same in the 40s, mid 40%, just like the Bengals. Well, is it touchdowns? No. We have 49, 34, 31. They have 54, 50, 41. So a few more, but nothing earth-shattering. We, of course, allowed not many more sacks. We've allowed 64 last year. They allowed 50. So the only thing that I could find that was a little difference was maybe first downs. Titans, but it still wasn't even that good. Titans, 298 first downs last year. Bengals, 329. That's not that good. The Cowboys are the best, and they had 5 more per game than the Titans and the Bengals. So I don't know what about the offense he was running is. I'm trying to find a stat that makes me say, wow, yes,
this is a great hire. Like, this is where we're going to be elevated.
It's going to take the Titans offense to the next level.
Yeah.
And he did all that with, like I said, Burrow, Mixon, and Chase. We're going to do this with second year, 1.5 year, half a year, Will Levis.
Yeah.
Who was benched at Penn State. Well, not benched, sat behind the starter at Penn State, went to Kentucky, did great at Kentucky, took him to a New Year's Six bowl, beat a top 15 Iowa team, and at Kentucky. That's great. Second year, not as good. I'm looking to find out why, but still got drafted and has the measurables. So if I'm excited, we have an offensive-minded coach to bring in this young quarterback. So we'll see how that goes.
Do you ever wonder, like, and we'll probably never know unless we get to go to an interview and for a head coaching role, but, like, do you ever wonder how they look at this? Because, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I want my team to, like, be better, you would think you would bring in somebody that statistically is better. And what are we looking at?
I'm trying to find the statistics. I really went down a rabbit hole trying to find where are the stats that just say we have to bring it. I completely agree. They need someone. I think we need a new offensive line. Everybody, offensive line.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah.
Whatever the run game coordinator, whoever these people are, we need that. And so if he is an offensive mind, I appreciate that. That's exciting. Then I wonder too. I guess because they addressed the offense a bit in free agency, they felt they didn't need to do it so much on defense. They have time to develop players on the defense. Maybe that's why they went heavier with the offense in the free agency, so they have time to let the younger guys come in on the draft because
Yeah.
those they don't always contribute right away.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with the offense. Of course, they all say the right things, right?
Always.
DeAndre Hopkins is saying, "Oh, Cameron Ridley." They're saying, "I'm excited about
He's our
this
guy.
this offense, and I'm excited about the schemes they're going to run." And I'm thinking,
You're
oh,
like,
what's it going to be?
yeah, that's interesting. Well, okay, so being a Steelers fan, I will say though that the AFC North probably is the toughest division in football. So that could and we don't offense isn't where we shine, right? Like we have offenses obviously, but like that's not our bread and butter. And so Browns defense, Steelers defense, Ravens defense is solid and they have to play them 6 times
Ravens
a
have had
year.
some good offense lately.
Yeah, so I'm trying to just think of and then Joe Burrow is very injury prone. So like last year he was out, like what, week 4 or
With the
something.
broken
So
leg, right?
yeah, so it's like if he had that offense still doing that well without his quarterback, maybe I don't know. Now I'm trying to like justify their hire, which I don't have to, but it's just interesting. I just always am curious to know like what did they see that we aren't thinking about because it's clearly not statistics.
And Titans did have moments of great offense. They'd have
Yeah.
exciting stuff, but then they would, of course, turn it over or take a key sack. They would move the ball all the way down the field, take a key sack, get out of field goal range, have to punt, those kind of things. But then they would also do things like be down by 20 with a few minutes left and come back and
Come back
win.
and win.
Like they would
Yeah.
do things like that. And it's shocking. And everybody else would turn their TV off and I'd still watch like, I believe. And I have to wake my husband up. You won't believe it. We came back.
I love that. It's like the trial and error of a fan, right? Like some days you're high and some days you're low and some days you're like, what is this? I don't know. I'm still going to
Yes.
watch it, but I don't know what this is.
I don't know. I feel like the momentum is just so fleeting. Like that week they had that massive big comeback. Very next week they lost to I want to say it was like maybe the next week they lost one of the worst teams. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but where's the momentum? I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
excited.
my dad would say that's he would say that's the identity of a bad team. And
Inconsistency.
yeah, he's like anytime, and that's always his thing. He's like, anytime your team is inconsistent and you're worried about traveling too far, or you have all these caveats where you're like, our team could win if all of these things are okay. He's like, your team is not very good. And that is
No.
why you're worried about all the things that could go wrong. And I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong. So
Well, I
that's
mean,
kind of where I'm
coming
at.
off 6-11 and last in the AFC South, there's only one. Well, you can only go up. But so last year they won 6 teams. Vegas has right now for the 2024 season Titans over under wins at 5.5. So that's terrible. There's only four teams, 3 teams
They
under
have been
that.
winning
So
only 5.
5.5 also with Denver, and then New England and Carolina are at 4.5 wins. So those are going to be the 4 worst teams. As of that's what Vegas is predicting. They will be one of the 4 worst teams again next year.
Interesting. So it sounds like the Titans are in a huge. They're rebuilding. I think that's obvious.
Yes.
And the hope is so. If I look at this from a rebuilding lens, I could understand the hire because the Bengals rebuilt what they did to be where they are now.
Right.
I don't know. That's interesting. I haven't even looked at the Vegas odds. I'm lying. I saw a tweet the other day that said the Steelers are predicted to be last in the division. And I'm like, every freaking year they predict us to be last.
And
like,
you always
every year
you find a way.
It's so funny.
Well, we also have one of the worst odds to make the Super Bowl. To win the Super Bowl.
So that was going to be my next question, though, is like about the season. So, like, what are you looking for? Like, do you agree with Vegas? When you look at the schedule, are you thinking, obviously, schedule's not out yet, so you don't know when you play the teams and all that stuff. But are you feeling something similar? What do you think? Is there certain teams on your schedule that you're like, oh gosh, okay, right, we have to play these guys again? How do you feel?
I would say 5.5 is a little low. I think, especially, I think they did a good enough job with the free agency, brought in some experience. I'm going to say QB Will Levis with this, the way he was able to lead Kentucky to the to the a New York Six Bowl. I'm gonna give all my hopes and dreams as long
Oh my
for
God,
as
this is
long as I
amazing.
had to put all my hopes and dreams in an Aggie quarterback. I think I can.
Touche.
I think I can ride with QB Will Levis. So and Mason Rudolph behind him, wasn't he? Was he at
Oh gosh, he was at the
Oklahoma
listen.
State?
He went
Or
to Oklahoma State. He's been
right?
with the Steelers for forever.
Yes,
And
he was. Yeah,
I will say this about Mason Rudolph. He's not the best. He's not going to be the most athletic, any of those things.
he's serviceable.
Exactly. He will not lose you the game. And
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. Like he's probably not going to take big risk. But he
game
won't.
manager, like as a
Correct.
compliment way.
Perfect.
Game
Yeah,
manager,
he won't be like we lost because of Mason Root. Like that's
like
not
we
going to
said of
happen.
Tannehill many.
Well, yeah. Can I be honest? Like I was shocked that Tannehill got his contract. Like I just never thought he was that great. Like he had all the intangibles, but when I saw him, I was never like, oh yeah, he's the guy. He was just
Yeah.
a guy to me.
I mean, I'm all about everybody getting paid and their agents doing all the work and getting them paid. I'm all about that. I just, I, I don't know. He always,
Yeah.
he had a limit.
Yeah.
And which is fine if he had pieces around him and
True.
the
Well, that's true
pieces
too.
would come and go too much on the Titans.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
So that's I think again this year, especially I have to say that the Texans look good. How well they did with D'Amico Ryans in the first year and with CJ Stroud. Wow, what a talent. And how much the team rallied around them more and more as the season went on. Season went on. I think they are the team to beat in the AFC South this year. They brought in Joe Mixon, which has
I got you.
That's another episode.
Yeah. Say less.
But,
yeah.
but he does produce on the field. And
Mm-hmm.
they brought him in to the Texans. So they have the pieces there to and then they're young and exciting. Will Anderson on the defensive line. Like it's exciting and the crowd, the Houston Texan fans are really rallying right now behind the team. And as well as they did the first year, just piecing it together. Now he's had a whole off season to really see what their needs are. Yeah. So I think the Texans are the team to beat this year. I'd like to split with them, but lately they've had the Titans number even when they weren't good. So
yeah, it's funny. I feel like the Texans are the darlings. Like they're the baby. Like they're the team that everyone's like, oh yay! It's like there's no reason to cheer against them. They have a young.
I see what you mean.
They have a young quarterback. It's like Will Anderson is young. Like everything they do, people are like, yay! Look, they came back. It's like. They're getting that right now. And it's fine. I feel like every 5 years or so, somebody comes around and you're just like, you don't want them to beat your team, but you will cheer for them against everybody else's team. Mm-hmm. I feel like the Texans have that right now because I caught myself even against like teams that I should have wanted the Texans to lose because it would help my Steelers. I still was like, go CJ. Oh, great throw.
Yeah.
I don't care, but like I did. I was cheering for them. So
that's good. I see that too. Right now, people have a special place in their heart because they didn't quit. They're not quitters. No, they were in some games. They had some heartbreak losses, but then they found a way to win. And they always say, you lose big, then you lose close, then you win close, then you win big. They're in that lose close, win close area, and it was just their first year together. So this next year, I think they're going to take a big jump.
Yeah, so I do too.
Are going to be. And Texans are going to be good this year.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. So anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want us to know about being a Titans fan? I don't know what's being talked about in like Titan circles. You know how the world works. It's like you get the information based on the things you frequent. I don't think I've seen anything about the Titans. I don't think so. After the draft, I feel like I haven't seen anything.
No major news other than, they'll put that out, the announcements when the signings were coming through. I guess we'll just follow spring camp, see if any names, how right now rookie OTAs or whatever, and see if any fun things are coming out with the guys that just joined the team. But we'll just see what Sundays bring us this year because Last year was a roller coaster, and we didn't come out on top too often. But this year, I think 5.5 is we could do that. I think
Yeah.
I would put us 7 and 10. I
It's,
think we're going to cover the 5.5.
that's fair. You know what's funny though about being a fan is you say that and then you like kind of think about the schedule and you're like, well,
I mean, if this,
we'll pull
then this,
out
and
a
this,
couple of
maybe we could win
times.
that game. I just, with the first year head coach, I don't know
Don't know.
what is, we've seen his offense with other players. And of course, the good coaches will take their scheme and adapt it to what they actually have, what talent and skills they actually have. So he's experienced as an offensive coordinator. He, was competitive with the Bengals, as an offensive coordinator. So hopefully he brings something that fits the actual roster. So without knowing really what this quarterback can do with a whole off season as number one guy, and not knowing what our head coach is all about as a head coach, no idea. So
Yeah.
I'll just say,
TBD.
sure, we'll win 5.5.
Yeah, that sounds great. Do
Sure.
you guys still have is it Malik Willis?
Yes, he's QB3.
Okay, okay. I remember him playing, I feel like very randomly, but I don't think has he ever started or is he just
I want to say he's played in real games, but I don't
okay,
remember if he was starting or not.
okay,
Things all start to blur. I know
okay.
he shined, they all shine in the preseason, and he looked like I
Of
want to
course.
say he started a game or two, but I'd have
Okay.
to go look. I don't,
Yeah, okay. I was
they all
curious.
blur together
They do.
when they're in.
Especially when they don't play, you're kind of like, "Do I know that because it really happened, like, in a real game, or was that a preseason highlight that's actually
Right.
stuck in my
I
brain?"
don't remember. It all blurs together. But we
Yeah.
have seen him in action, yes, in
Okay.
real action.
Yeah,
So,
I
but
think Mason Rudolph will help that room a little bit too.
he's
He's the mature
QB2.
one. He's mature, the
Mhm.
yeah, experience. Well, that'll be good. Well, I know that you are involved in like things with the Longhorns and different things. So I don't know what else you want to share, how people can find you if you want them to find you. Um, so you share whatever you want to share and don't share whatever you don't want to share about, what else kind of things you're involved in because you're very heavily involved with all things Longhorn, which is amazing. And I will say, like, I always laugh because like I'm such a fan of so many things, but like I can't become too involved because then I become obsessed. And so I have to like choose
And it's
my
short for
boundaries.
fanatic.
Yeah, I have to choose my boundaries very hard and be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but I can't do that because then I'm all in and I don't want to be all in. It's too
That's why I
emotional.
can't do fantasy football, because I can't keep up with 1,500 players,
Yes.
and I can't cheer for a team to do well against my team.
Your
Or
team. Oh my God. I know.
anyway,
Yeah.
no. Rocky, it says Fire the Cannon. I co-host a show with my friend Megan, and it's Fire the Cannon, and we talk mostly Texas Longhorns, but we talk all top sports stories each week. Wednesday afternoons with Texas Sports Unfiltered. I'm at Rocky Knows Best on Twitter, and I just food, travel, whatever, all the things, sports, lots of Longhorns, lots of whatever I'm up to,
Love it.
and yeah.
And just shout out to Megan. She's awesome.
Shout out to Megan.
Yeah, so I was able to meet her. I felt like I knew her because obviously just like Twitter and stuff. So like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, just I love people that are just like themselves. I will always respect that over like just be you. Just be the
Just
person
you.
you are and like let me just see that consistently, please. Like all the extra,
Yeah.
I don't need it. I'm too
Yeah.
old for that.
She's a lifetime Longhorn, big face of the alumni, and she's at Texas Fancy Boots if anyone wants to go find
Yeah,
her.
she got me into that baseball game. It was amazing. And can I just say, Texas baseball has been on a run since
Yes,
that day that I saw
since
them.
you kickstarted
Yeah,
the Texas Longhorn baseball,
yeah, that's it.
the takeoff. And shout out to the Texas softball women, who are still
Yeah,
number one in the country and just clinched the
amen.
Big 12 regular season. Yeah, so the men have now won 7 of 8 series, Big 12 series, including top 20 wins over Oklahoma State and Oklahoma the last couple
Yeah.
weekends.
So
And I'd
she
like to say, ever since you went to the game,
I
they've
know. So
started them.
here's the thing. So before, because obviously it was raining, we are at the spring or whatever. And then I was like, I haven't been to a baseball game. You were there for that. And I kind of sat and hang out and I was like, it's gonna rain. Should I do this? And I thought, you know what, screw it. This will be fun. So I go in there with them, and she was telling me, she's like, they're not very good. Like, just lower your expectations. You know how it is. Like, don't you
Yeah.
whatever. And I get
They're
in there.
struggling.
Yeah, and they literally get like a double singles. They start scoring. I think it's like ended up being like 6-0 or whatever, and it rain delay and I leave or whatever. And ever since that day, it's like all of a sudden now they can hit, their bats are alive, they're scoring, they look good.
Home
Yeah, the
runs, grand
pitchers all of
slams.
a sudden are like, so I don't know. Like, I don't want to, toot my own horn here, but
I think I'm gonna credit you. I'm gonna credit you. You did it, girl.
yeah. So,
They
anyways.
needed you.
And so great time being at the baseball stadium. I was glad that I did that. I'm glad that both of you were like, do it. I'm like, okay, because I don't get outside much. So it was fun.
And I'm the opposite. I'm bad luck. I was at the game yesterday when we lost to Oklahoma
Oh,
State, but that's okay because we had already won the series. We won Friday and Saturday. So I was like, that's fine. It's tough to sweep a top 15 team. So
yeah, that everybody thought 2 weeks ago that it would be a joke. So it's
right.
like, listen, we'll take it. I mean, slow
Mhm.
and steady wins the race. Like, let's
Yeah,
just,
there's 2 weekends left of Texas baseball, and they're still in it. They
yeah,
still have
that's
things
wild.
they're playing for things. They still have things to play for.
That's wild.
So
Well, I
hopefully
will
they
let
can.
you go. I appreciate you talking to me. I appreciate you coming prepared to talk to me. I will
Of
take that as a
course.
badge of honor that you took the time.
If you consider me a Titans fan worthy of speaking on the team, because I know there are people who I'm usually invited to talk about Longhorn stuff.
Yeah.
So to talk about my precious little Titans, I'm not up on them all day, every day,
Yeah.
like the people who are really like that's their 1A team. The
Yeah.
Titans are my 1A foot NFL.
Yeah.
But I'm a college, sports person. So of course I'm going to go make sure I have some information plus just my own story as a Titans fan.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think the other thing is too is the funny thing about talking to fans is there's a little bit of honesty when it comes to your team, but then there's also like a lot of love because it's like, yeah, we're not very good, but I'm really hoping we're good.
I'm
It's like this
hoping.
weird, yeah, it's like this weird thing where you're like, yeah, we might suck, but that's okay because we're really trying really hard.
We're addressing needs.
Yeah, it's like we're slowly building. Like we suck, but that's okay. We got offensive linemen now. We're gonna be so it's like this weird thing with fans.
I do not have us winning a Super Bowl anytime soon, but I do have us improving this year.
Good, good.
We're
So
going to go from 6
basically,
wins to at least 7.
what you're saying is you're not a Cowboys fan because we know this story is every year is their year,
Oh, it's
and
our
every
year.
year,
Cowboys are going all the way.
every year.
Get your Super Bowl tickets.
Yeah. Good luck
I
to
tell you
them.
what, just real quick before we go, when they were in the AFC Championship a few years ago, 2020, and they were playing Kansas City, and we for a minute there we were like looking really good and could win maybe if things kept going our way.
Oh,
We
in
could have.
Kansas City.
It was
Was it
in Kansas. We had gone to New England and won, went into Baltimore and
in
won,
one? Yep.
and we were on a roll. And at a few minutes, like maybe the first or second quarter, we were winning that game.
Yeah.
I had my flights booked to Miami. I was already checking out Super Bowl tickets. Like I was just going to drop some money because if your team makes it to the Super Bowl,
Gotta go.
not if other teams who go all the time, like Kansas City and New England, all these teams who go all the time.
Yeah.
If my team made it to the Super Bowl, that would probably be the only one time in my life that they made it. So I had to go. When they made it 20 years ago, I couldn't have bought a ticket, but I could have bought a ticket a couple years ago, and oh well.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, well.
And I just want to. Have you ever been to a Super Bowl?
No.
So I will tell you this. I think the Super Bowl is a ton of fun if your team isn't in it.
I can see that.
Because it's such a fanfare. It's such a, you know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of big businesses. Like not everybody there is really there for the game. They're really there because it's the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So I went to go see the Seahawks play Denver when the game started on the safety. And it was
yeah.
And I was there and I was like, why isn't anybody cheering? Oh, but nobody really cares about they're just here because it's the Super Bowl. So now I go back and forth. I'm like, if the Steelers ever go again, I'm going. And then sometimes I'm like, yeah, but I was kind of annoyed because I'm like, are you guys not excited? And they were like, oh, we were here last year. I'm like,
yeah.
what kind of fan
There's
are
some people
you?
who go every year because they have corporate sponsorships and all
That's
kind of
it. It
things.
was yeah, and everything was super expensive. Like a hot chocolate, I remember being $17.50.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was bad. So, anyways, like this shouldn't ruin anybody's hopes of ever going to the Super Bowl. I'm just
I'm
saying,
still, if
like,
the Titans ever get in it, I
well,
mean,
you should,
they
yeah,
were there 1997,
yeah,
2000 or whatever it was, the 99 season, whatever that was.
yeah.
If the Titans ever get in it again, I guess it would be the 2000 Super Bowl. Yeah. If they ever get in it again, I will be there.
I love it. Good for you. Well, I appreciate you for taking the time. And I'll text you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And tighten up.
There it
Tighten up, baby.
is.